Hello everybody, how do you do? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Welcome back into my little dungeon garden experience. Tragedy? Really all depends on what day we're visiting here, I suppose. But yeah, yesterday I was saying it's supposed to be kind of hot, and it's worse than that actually. We seem to have a lot of smoke coming in. People saying it's maybe from some fires in Ontario, so I hope you folks in Ontario are okay. But yeah, it's really smoky and nasty outside, so it is a great day to be in the dungeon. Let's start here. It's here somewhere, at the houseplant shelf, and go around the room. Alright plants, you know how this works. Introduce yourself, say a little something. Here we've got the lemon tree. It's got some issues on the tips here, but ultimately, this thing has been quite a survivor for me. It's been punished with all kinds of inappropriate lighting. It's been left to dry out a few too many times. And yeah, it doesn't get anywhere near the kind of regular maintenance that it really should. And yet it survives. So I am actually getting kind of really excited about this thing. Because as we're getting closer to having land, we're getting closer to having an earthship style build for my greenhouse. And I think I can produce lemons here in the prairies from a well-established lemon tree in such an environment. So, you know, always me to keep my goals nice and simple. Anyway, here we have our lovely pitcher plant. We can see that this pitcher is coming quite nicely, coming along quite nicely. It's kind of like that penec though, isn't it? A little two-dimensional at this point. This one here is nice and fat, still wide open. So I'm guessing it hasn't caught anything yet. Oh, if we look, the light's not great, but let's see. There's a pitcher trying to form itself in the shelf. That might be the smartest one of the bunch. Little fly come wandering along, fall in the hole. Happy plant. Speaking of happy plant, this is the happiest coffee tree anywhere on the property. The one outside's not happy right now, but you know, when things cool off, maybe it'll improve its mood. You see this is pretty dry there, but we've got lots of nice growth going on the top. Fresh, vibrant green. I was reading an article that said coffee leaves are good for a kind of tea. No real chemicals going into this, so I may give that a try with some of these lower ones before they get all nasty and brown. Like you can see this one here about to fall off. But then again, tea leaves usually are kind of nasty and brown, so maybe I should read a few more articles. Perhaps these are the ones I need. Let's put this on the shelf to dry for now. I'll get the Dieffenbachia back here. Dieffenbachia are funny plants, man. If you let these things wilt once, they will never forgive you, and they will never forget, and they will stay on that wilt eternally. They'll grow quite happy. I mean, tell me this is an unhappy plant, and I'll tell you, you've got to reconsider your position. But, I mean, clearly, I am not allowed to forget the fact that I let this thing wilt. What do you do? I got nothing going on that shelf yet. Still going to eventually do an aquaponic thing there, though. Down here, under the purple light, we've got the mint. Oh, this mint. You know, every single one of these mints is a cutting from a mint plant we got for like $2 at the grocery store. One of those living herbs. Brought it home. Did what I do, which is take cuttings of everything, and now they're everywhere. And I certainly don't mind having mint plants everywhere. It's just you got to be really careful with them and make sure that, well, they're well contained, because if you live in an environment where mint can overwinter outside, that stuff will go nuts. It will take over everything. Don't believe me? Check out Rev's greenhouse. Wait till he gets to the scene with the mint, right? Always contain mint in aquaponics. In case I never said that before. Anyway, let's continue looking around, and we'll get to the aquaponics here in a second. But first we've got the Darwin survival table, on which I have a few different things. So yeah, let's go. I'd say it's pretty obvious looking at the oregano that somebody hasn't been down to water their dungeon plants in, well, maybe 1 or 2 days too long. But it's working out for some of these plants. Here's that Reaper. Little guy's getting stronger the more I abuse it. It's got the heart of a spider plant. I love it. It's Ahigayana. We got some of the aphids already bunkering in the top there, so I'll swoosh that around in the fish tank in a second. A lot of spider plants doing well in the back there. Got kind of a test going on. The ones on the left are getting watered 1 time for every 3 times the ones on the right get watered. Just cuz, really. We got a whole bunch of the astrid peperomias that survived here. And these guys are just unwatered in general. There's no test there. That's just forgetfulness. Then over here, I've got 2 sets of clones going. Sage on the left, rosemary on the right. I have actually not opened this since the day I put them in there. So let's pop our heads in there, take a look. So far, things look pretty good in there. The tricolors in the back all seem to be doing fairly well. All of these rosemaries, okay, not all of these rosemaries. We got a couple like this one here. I don't think that one's gonna make it in the long run. Kind of questioning that one there. But that's why I've got 18 of each of these, right? I'm expecting losses. I'm okay with that. I hope it's not a complete and total write-off situation, right? So I think I'm gonna let those breathe for a couple hours while I'm farting around down here. And then put that cover back on, continue to hope for the best. So far that little tray has been doing me pretty well. The spider plants, the astrids, and now all of these. And that's kind of just since outdoor garden season's been taken over. Let's see here. Looking up, we have... I gave it water. It told me it's done anyway. So, yet another plant that needs to go to the great compost pile in the sky. The Ahi Fantasy here, not looking great. Hasn't completely died off yet. I think we're actually just going to put this back under the fluorescent there. Hopefully it will be a good strong plant for me by next year. We've got the aquaponic sage. One at the bottom here. Oh, I thought that was all dead, but apparently not. You know, this seems to be doing fairly nicely. It's got some excellent growth from where I cut the top off of this, hoping it would bush out a little bit. Seems to have bushed there, and there, and there. So we've got at least 3 out of 4 joins where it's spreading out, and you know, really kind of looks like that tiny one on the side there is coming up from the 4th one down, which is the basic theory, right? When you cut a plant off, I need an easier example to show you here. Not really much going on that's going to help us, is there? The basil's looking nicer, but anyway, let's grab a sprig of mint here. Unkillable mint. So when you cut your mint, for example, like this, if I took the top off, 1, 2, 3, and I didn't even go down far enough for 4, they would all sprout growth, which is why when you're taking cuttings, or it's my understanding though, that's why when you take cuttings, you want at least 4 growth nodes on anything, with 2 of those being in the soil. Now, don't take that to any kind of bank and expect to get much out of it, but that's kind of the way it seems so far for me. Need to give these guys a splash of what's left of their proper fish food. But we can see that they have totally devoured their salads, which is good. They still look pretty darn healthy to me. Those colors still look pretty intense, and those shadow fish are still kind of a trick to see on the black background. So, who wants to see a feeding frenzy? My little orange sharks, piranhas practically. They do really dive after the proper professional food, and they don't really go at the salad with quite that same kind of vigor, but you know, they're used to this. All fish get this kind of processed food, so converting them to a more natural diet is a process that's going to take time, and I'm okay with that. Got some nice healthy fish coming out of this process, and I'm enjoying the process, so it's all good. Anyway, we were going to take a look at the aquaponics. There's not too much growing in it, aside from that sage and the mint. We've got these 2 basils, which actually I should put some salad greens down in the tank, some salad purples down in the tank. And now that the penec is out of here, anyway, speaking about the basils, now that the penec is out of here, they do seem to be doing a little bit better. And this dark opal basil is doing, I think, much better. I totally flooded this thing the other day when I was topping up the system, and then just shoved that plant as far down as I could, and I even added a few more pellets to it to kind of support it a little bit better. The only, that's one of the only criticisms I actually have for this EuroGrower garden that they sent me, is I don't feel that the amount of pellets they included was adequate. They sent me 2 bags of these micro pellets, and if I recall, it was like 25 pounds each. Maybe a third one if they included it in there. So I mean, they charge like $600 American for these things, from what I was seeing, and that's crazy. I mean, that might have been 600 Canadian. That's still an awful lot for a pre-built garden. So, you know, for that kind of money, should be able to fill this sucker up, I think. Otherwise, I don't really have a lot of complaints for this garden, other than hydroponics doesn't necessarily work for me, whereas aquaponics really does. So, you know, the mint here is a perfect example of this. I just schwacked this back not that long ago. Might be time for, oh, what was it? What was the suggestion? Some mojitos. Yes, that might be good. I don't know. Maybe we'll try some of this with that triple berry. Oh yeah. Maybe I will put some of this in that next bit of triple berry mellow mel that I enjoy. And I did enjoy that, y'all. A little too much if you're curious to see what happened with that, because I think I started that here on this channel. It ended up on the cooking channel. There's a Mead's mellow mel and more sort of thing. Look for it down in the links down in the bottom. You'll find it. So, yes. I think, though, that pretty much wraps it up for what's going on in the dungeon these days. So, yeah, so I guess that pretty much wraps it up for a look down in the dungeon today. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. It's always kind of, I don't know, I enjoy sharing my plants with you guys. I know a lot of you can't have gardens of your own, and you kind of enjoy the plants growing and the progress on these things. And yeah, I don't know. It feels good to be part of such a feel-good community, I guess, and I feel really good sharing with you guys. So thank you for being here for me, and I will be here for you again tomorrow. Take care, everybody.